Welcome, everybody. Tonight is the 26th of July here in Dallas. This is Dallas Personal Robotics Group Robot Builders Night Virtual. And we just go around the table and talk about robot-y things to the extent that we can. Although it seems like a lot of us have been really enjoying the summer and being diverted. So we'll see how tonight goes. So we have Paul with a brief update after his world travels. Ray has some questions, and then whenever Doug is ready, Doug has some things too, some updates. But for the moment, we can start off, and I have nothing for the calendar except for, I guess I should share that as a reminder. Here it is. We have still nobody leaping forward to help with our election challenge, so I'm still acting as interim president guy. Somewhere in late August, there's a Seattle Robotics Society hybrid thing we were talking about, maybe online and at the Dallas Makerspace, jumping in on one of their, usurping one of their things. And then middle of October, we have the Robo Columbus outdoor. And that'll be up in Farmersville again, we believe. And then we already had the Saturday or two ago, we had the really amazing marathon study by Doug Parody for Arduino using VS Code and PlatformIO. So that's off the list for now. Any other things we know of for the calendar? Well, we have it up here. Okay, so with that, I think we can just dive right in. So, Paul, what do you got?
Well, so there's a little bit of a funny story to this, but you can see what my news in the background behind me.
They're multiplying.
They're multiplying. So I had this.
You had a baby.
It had a little brother, or same-size brother. So in April, we on the morning that we were due to fly out to Belize to go on a sailing trip. I'd been thinking, I wake up at 3 a.m. and I just get on the internet and do whatever, putz around, and sometimes I do robot stuff. And I've been thinking, I really ought to have a spare a donor robot for Mobot, because Mobot makes this horrible clacking noise when it runs, which is caused by the gear on the motor shaft has a crack in it. So it two of the teeth are slightly further apart than they should be. So it makes this horrible noise when it runs. And I've been looking for months on eBay and Craigslist, and had this bright idea in the morning that why don't I take a look on Facebook Marketplace. So I took a look, and lo and behold, there was someone offering a RoboMo RL500. So I send them a message. We planned to get up at 7:15 in the morning to get our bags all finalized and everything. So this was about 4 o'clock. I sent them a message saying, "Hey, is this still available?" Got a message back 15 minutes later saying, "Yeah, still available." So I messaged him and said, "Would you meet me, and could I buy it this morning?" And he said, "Yeah." So we agreed to meet at 6 a.m. at a storage facility, and so I took off about half past 5. And I was afraid I was going to get murdered in some storage facility because it was dark at the time. And so I was text my wife, "Here's where I went in case I don't return." But sure enough, I went in, and the guy came out to meet me with a mower, and I gave him $160, and he gave me a mower, and hey presto, I got a new RoboMo. So it's sat in my garage for the last two or 3 months since that time, and last night in the wee hours of the morning I thought, oh, what the heck, I should try this out. So you'll probably remember I built it as a modular electronics box, and designed to just drop straight in the battery box, designed to just drop straight into a RoboMo. And this proved to be maybe prescience. I don't know. Maybe it was dumb luck, because I just like dropped it into the new mower and it worked. Like drove it using its like little remote console, drove it into the lab, and then last night I hooked up, started up the program, hooked up the control wire to the little control dongle that lets you control the mower directly, and got the motors to run under ROS software control. So it's like, wow, that's amazing. Like a robot, you just like plug a box into a different robot, and it just worked. I was amazed. So anyway, that's my update. There's two of them now, and the new one is in better condition. It's been less used than the old one, so it's now Mobot, and the old one is the parts.
You may have used up all your luck though in that one occurrence, but
could be.
Well,
yeah, and I was home by 7:15, and my wife was up and about, and she was like, "Where were you?" I said, "I'm home by 7:15. That's when we agreed to get up."
That's amazing. What a story.
A robot scored in the space of a couple of hours.
From a Facebook marketplace ad. What were the odds? I mean, in this town, I mean,
right, and it plugged the box in and it just ran.
It just worked. I mean, how far did you have to drive?
What?
How far did you have to drive?
I was just down in Carrollton.
Yeah, down the road.
And so some guy said that he was one of these like traders who like buys junk that people are selling and then resells it, and he said he bought it off of some guy that had hardly used it, and the batteries didn't work, but that was fine. I didn't want the lead acid batteries anyway because I got the lithium batteries in the box, so I was like, great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Serendipity.
Share that luck with us. We could all use it. It'd be good. All you needed was a video, and you could get a gold star. But okay.
Well, yeah. I guess I could try, but as they say, it's better to be lucky than good.
I like that. Okay, good, cool. Well, let's get lucky. All right, so thank you. That's good. So then next we had Ray. I think you had some questions.
Yep. Okay, I was, well, maybe I should present here. Boom. Toy screen. Share. I don't know how fast this is going to be. All right. Can you see my screen? Not yet.
Yeah.
You have the
Sort of, kind of.
infinite repeating screen. So are you just sharing a second screen or?
Okay, can you see this now?
That's the screen. There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, I was combining code from two separate files. Let's see if I can get this to stay up here. And I think I just got two of the same. Yep, I did. Okay, there we go. Cut that out. Keeps going behind. Anyway, combine two files. I don't know if these are going to stay up. It seems like it's got an issue with that. And I was actually using the Adafruit Qt Py and had this set up to do it. But previous to that, I was using an ESP32 board, the TTGO LoRa. It's TTGO is the brand. It's got the ESP32 on it with a LoRa radio and no LED display. And I was thinking of switching over to the Cutie Pie because it's got everything I need. It's very small. Tried to compile it all together, and weird errors started popping up, like in the Roboclaw that's CPP. It was finding errors in those files, and can't imagine why it would start to find errors in that by combining things. Anyway, so I switched the board back to the TTGO board, the ESP32, and it compiled just fine. So I'm assuming something weird going on with the libraries. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that.
One question, Ray. That line, pound define B055 sample rate delay, 30 seconds. Oh, never mind. Got it. No.
Anyway, the code has been working with, as the two separate modules. Let's see if I can get the other one to stay up there. For some reason, it's bouncing around. Anyway, with a SparkFun, let's see, what is it? A Neo. It's not the most accurate, most expensive one. It's the Neo MP8-2, which you can use as a base station or a rover. Anyway, I was just, could there be some weird interaction with the libraries that for a board that something just didn't get worked out in the?
Well, my guess with limited experience would be if it compiles properly with the one board, but not with the other board, it's got to be a header include doesn't exist on your computer, or some libraries not a compatible library, something like that.
Yeah, it seemed like it was having issues with roboclaw.h. It compiles fine with the ESP32 board.
The roboclaw.h may have a dependency that you don't have installed.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know.
Ray,
it did. I think it did call out a file. I kind of brought it all up in PlatformIO, and it said that there was one missing definition, but it's weird that it would be missing when, I have one processor and not in the other. The files don't change. So
Ray, was the problem when you changed the target processor, or did you say you combined files?
Yeah, I combined basically what was done in two files into the one. This one had all the stuff, minus the GPS unit, and I was going to try to incorporate that into it, so it would have the GPS unit, an OLED display, the B&O 055, running on a Cutie Pie, Adafruit Cutie Pie.
But did the issue happen when you combined the code or when you retargeted? Like, did you do it one step at a time, or did you try and do both in one step, like retargeting and combining code? Did you do two separate steps or one step?
Well, let's see. What did I do? Okay, I wanted to keep the code. No, I guess I didn't do that.
Like if you combined it and got it to run on the old processor and then changed the target host, that'd be a different experiment than if you combined it and changed the target host, then tried to compile and run it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's compiling now for the ESP32. It still is not for the Cutie Pie.
Right? What is the Cutie Pie? What is
Say
it
that again?
What is the Cutie Pie processor?
Oh, it's a SAMD21.
Okay.
Is the
So
environment
they're
the same, like-
significantly different, is what you're saying. They're not-
Yeah, the ESP32 is, it's
yeah,
not
it's a-
related at all to the QT
Yeah.
Py.
Yeah.
Is the
Okay.
environment the same? Like, are you using VS Code with PlatformIO on both in both situations?
Well, I was using the Arduino IDE and went to PlatformIO because you can find things a lot easier with PlatformIO. You can just hover over a field and
So that, I mean, PlatformIO does its libraries completely differently than Arduino. You know that, right? Because
Right.
in Arduino you import them and they go into Arduino / libraries / somewhere up there, and
Right.
in VS Code with PlatformIO you put this like dependency statement and it like builds it into the tree that it does the build in.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
Right, and you have
actuality, Paul, you can do both. For example, if you go and they don't have your library in the PlatformIO library manager, then you can just take that and put it in the lib directory in between. It's usually between the include and the source directory, and that'll work perfectly fine. In fact, when I first started with IO, I didn't even know about the library manager, and I just put all my libraries directly into that, and it worked great. It was, now the big disadvantage of that is you don't get updates if the library is updated. So, but I was working with a library just a couple of days ago that it just didn't exist there. And so I ended up having to put it in myself. So, I mean, I'm just saying, it's just so that you know.
Yeah. I guess I guess you can update libraries and update boards. So
Okay. I guess
you
the thing
know,
I would look at
yeah.
is when if you brought them in through the PlatformIO library manager, they give a list of all the processors that it'll work on.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't see the SAM whatever it is on it,
SAM
then
D51
that
or
could be
21.
that library is not compatible with that processor.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Uh,
First time I ever experienced that, it's like, what is going on here? So,
yeah.
but I guess I won't be using the QT pile. It works for the ESP32.
Yeah, because you know how in a perfect library, it would be completely Arduino based. Otherwise, all the calls in the library would be Arduino. That would make it perfectly compatible with anything that had an Arduino environment.
Yeah.
But, processors are so capable of different things. I mean, like the ESP32 can do so much more than, say, an ARV, at Mega. So they got additional stuff in their libraries. So I would check and see if it's listed in that as one of the boards that would be covered by that library.
Okay.
And QT Py, that's Adafruit, right?
Yep.
Surely they've got what? So what was the library actually? It was a BNO library.
No, it was finding things wrong with the roboclod .h file. Like
that should be pretty independent because that's a different board.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like I said, I never experienced.
How does it communicate? It might be a pin assignments. How does, when you look at the RoboClaw, what are the properties that it uses to connect to the program? I mean, is there like a pin definition or something like that?
Let's see. I have to go back and take a look.
I'm just what I'm getting at is I would, the roboclaw should run on the roboclaw without any problem,
Yep.
and it should only be communicating with the other board. And you're actually, so
Yeah,
the
three
roboclaw,
things are going to be I2C, the GPS module, an OLED display, and well, that's going to connect to the I was going to connect it to the SAMD21, but now it's going to be connected to the SB32 if I can't get that working.
yeah.
Ray, is there a possible include ordering problem?
I played around with that too, like moved roboclaw.h, kind of up and down in the stack, and it did the same thing. I thought maybe
the problem is an include file is not found, right?
no, it finds it. It just it's finding things wrong inside of it, errors, and it won't finish compiling.
Like what kind of errors?
The one, let's see, it expected a return from a function, and it said it didn't have it, and it was it's the peek function, PEEK, that was in, if you look in roboclaw.h, and it's, as far as I know, that's been the same for a long time. So it just said that it expected a return and wasn't structured to provide one. And it's like, well, I didn't mess with anything in the .h file. So
Do you have the pound include of Arduino.h in the environment?
Yeah.
for PlatformIO, yeah,
Okay.
but not for the Arduino environment. Let me see here if I can go there. Because
peek is a basic Arduino call, and if it can't find that defined, that suggests that some include file is trying to use peek before it's been defined.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get that up. Come on. Okay. Let's see, include roboclaw.h. It was line 81. Sorry, 84. Yeah. Let me share again. I can show you what it looks like in Visual Code, Visual Studio. Screen, share. Okay. Can you see the PlatformIO?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, it calls out line 84 right here. And here's the peek function. And, as far as I know, nothing's been changed, but.
What's the error at line 84 that it gives?
Let's see if. This was listing the errors before.
Okay, there's one obvious possible thing is if you says if defined as it's __ AVR, what is it really defined as?
Oh,
because you shouldn't be, if you're not on a AVR, I don't think you would, it should be pointed at something else.
Okay, yeah. Yep, I think you're right. Okay, let's see.
But in that case, it doesn't look like, I'm not sure I can see. Let's see. Oh, it's got an S and one's got an H. Okay, I got it now. I was trying to see what the difference between the two lines were.
Okay. Serial peek.
So hover over the AVR. Hover over the AVR. Right click.
Oops. other right click. Huh? There we
No,
go.
that's it. And go to the declaration.
No declaration found for AVR.
Okay.
That would be a problem.
So, well, no, it means it's not defined. That
It's probably right for cutie pie.
You're right. That's what I was
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I was just
But then-
wondering, but so what is it defined as? You know?
God, who knows?
Okay, if you go up to H serial and do the same thing, see where it says H serial?
Yeah.
Because
Just-
that's what it's doing. Let's go into the H.
Here are some TV shows.
Okay. I think
Hardware
This-
serial, software serial.
one of the errors that was called out was that it was missing. I guess it's a standard argument. .h, standard.
Standard arguments are the ones that let you do things like UINT _8.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be a,
No, I
It'll-
can't find it because of the path.
Okay. Include errors
That's what the squiggle
detected.
means.
Yeah, it says please update your include path. And that was one of the errors I think that did come out. It said could not find standard arg.h.
if you've got Arduino, I think it has that in it. So what happens, just for a quick play, why don't you comment that particular argument out and see what happens?
Okay.
I'm just curious. Okay.
So right here.
Yeah, I'm just curious, and just hit build.
Okay.
I don't see build, but
I am not familiar with this enough to know how to do that.
well, it should be down by the home sign. Okay.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the Explorer. Can you close the Explorer?
Yeah, probably. Nope. Doesn't look it.
Okay, go up to Files. Click on Files.
Yep.
No, not that file. The
Oh.
two pages.
Okay, this file.
No, yeah, that one. Click on that. Okay.
Okay.
That made it go away.
Yeah.
But I still don't see down at the bottom. Click on Home and see what happens when you click on Home.
This home here.
Yeah. Okay, did you go through this screen to open the project?
No, I just.
Because what you may be doing is actually opening this up in, you know how we put in Arduino extension?
Uh-huh.
And that's so that you can run an Arduino environment in, in Visual Studio Code. You
Yeah.
might not want to be running in the Arduino environment. You might want to really be running in PlatformIO. So you should open it up there.
Okay.
So what? Let me ask you this: before you leave this, uncomment. Go back to
Oh.
your original so you don't
Here.
mess it up. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And you probably, I don't know. You might have to do a file save. So go up
Okay.
to File and see if it says.
Text file.
Just hit S. Just hit S.
Okay.
I mean save. Control S.
Oh, Control S.
Yeah.
Oop, not. Control S. Don't see that it's
Okay.
doing anything.
All right. That's okay. Probably didn't need to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so you need to use PlatformIO, you have to use the PlatformIO open project.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the, like I say, the easiest way is to hit the home button on the bottom.
Okay.
If you hit that,
Think.
all right,
Oh,
and
start another
yeah.
one.
Yeah, new project.
yeah, I probably need to do it as a new project. Then put in a project name.
Okay. So
And
select
now
the
go here and see if you can put in, I'd try Qt. I don't know. See if it would find it. Did you see anything?
Nope. Maybe Adafruit.
Yeah.
Adafruit.
It's possible it's not supported.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. What's that?
There you go.
Qt Py. Qt Py.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. And
Uh,
framework Arduino.
Yeah, open it up just to see what other ones you have.
Okay.
Go up to the Arduino, the framework, and just, okay, that's the only one that they support.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now if you put this in the standard location, I believe the standard location will be directory, will be documents, PlatformIO, projects, and it'll create
Okay.
a new directory in that.
Okay. What do we do? The Arduino, what was it? Arduino workspace, or could it go in there?
No, just hit
No?
finish here.
Okay.
Yeah, you really want to keep it in the PlatformIO directory structure because
Yeah.
there's lots of dependencies on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now,
Churning.
it'll take it a while the first time. He's pulling down stuff.
Mm-hmm. Certainly is taking a while.
Well, it doesn't usually take that long, Ray. I think it's because you're up there giving it tiny little bits instead of like a hose. You're using a eyedropper.
Well, maybe we could do this offline or something.
Well, yeah. Anyway, now, so the big thing here would be, the next thing would be to take if your file is named something like Ray's Robot, what you might want to, it'll be a rayrobot.ino. You're going to get a main here under source. It'll be, all it will have is a setup and loop. It'll just be a little mock program. You just copy that and put your code in there. So otherwise, your main INO file will go under main.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have, is it all one file right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then you see the little alien over on the side there?
Yep. Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah. If you click that guy, not now, but if you were to click him once you got loaded in, it will allow you to click on something called, I think it's either libraries or library manager. I can't remember which. And that'll take you into, then you can search the libraries to see if the libraries you're using are available. And like I said, if they're not available, then what you do is you're going to have, boy, this is taking long.
Yeah.
Wow. Is this normal for you? You have to put up with this?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. All right.
Finally
Okay.
finished.
All right. So if you go to source, down
Okay.
click, go to source and down click that. You see that main? See, there's
Right.
nothing there. The only
Yeah.
line you want to keep there is that include Arduino.h.
Okay. So
All right.
everything else, get rid of
Everything
this.
can be replaced with whatever your other code is.
Yep.
Now, just for grins here, so that we know, go over to the. Oh, where did the little alien go?
Out of
Should
this
be-
file.
Wait a minute. Close this. Okay. Yeah, you can just do a Control A, Control C, and then Control V.
Okay, I got a message from. Okay. Copy.
Right, just do a Control A on that.
Okay. Well, I already
Mhm.
copied it, so.
Okay, and then go in there, copy everything, get rid of the void setup and void loop. Just copy from just select line 3 through 9. Oh, yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah, I already got the other thing copied. So if I.
Okay, do a Control V. No,
Or
Control
paste.
V.
Okay, there it is.
Okay, now, all right, go to the top just to make sure we got everything. Whoa, God, that's a long file.
Yep.
You need to break it down, dude. Let's see. Okay. Now, see the alien? Go to the alien.
Okay, this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
and right click, I think.
Okay.
Maybe it's no,
There's
maybe it's
Explorer,
left.
search.
No, try the other button. Maybe it's left click. I can't remember those.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, now somewhere down there. Oh, library. See it down there under projects and configurations.
Projects and configurations.
Now the PIO home, and then up, down, 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 down,
Okay.
down.
Yeah. Oh,
One more.
libraries.
Yes, click on that. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this can be a little tricky, but put RoboClaw in there and let's see what you get.
Okay. Is there a search box or something?
Yeah, it
Use this
says search libraries. See
Okay.
it there?
On the right side.
Okay, yeah, search library. So just RoboClaw.
I don't know what they call it, but I just say RoboClaw. Yeah, see what
Okay.
happens. And then do a search on it, see if it.
No
Okay,
results.
so there's an example where they don't have that library in their library code. So
Yep.
now you have to go. So what you have to do, go click the 2-page files that says one up on the top.
It says one.
No,
Yeah.
go, yeah,
Yeah.
that guy. All right, see where it says library or
Yeah.
lib? That's where you got to put that library.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if anybody else wants to go through the rest of this. So maybe
Yeah.
you and I can talk about this
Okay.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's kind of weird though. It looked like it in the Arduino environment that it had issues with, the library basically. Don't know why.
Well, is the Cutie Pie supposed to run in Arduino?
Yeah, it can. Yeah, you can do that, or you can do I think Circuit Python
Okay.
because it's got a fair amount of memory on
Okay,
it.
there's another thing. Sometimes, and somebody who's more knowledgeable on this might want to correct me, but I know on some of my boards, you either set them up for something like Circuit Python or MicroPython, or you not set it up. You put it in so that it can essentially accept C code.
Yeah.
So, but putting it in the MicroPython state doesn't mean you can run non-MicroPython stuff, I believe. Now, I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if that's true or not.
Yeah. I
But I do-
haven't run any Python, and I've got a bunch of these, and I haven't done any. So
Yeah, it just depends on what bootloader you load in that thing, and you either get a Python bootloader, you get a bootloader that expects Python, or a bootloader that expects the straight up Arduino.
yeah.
C stuff, C++ stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it had been working fine with the Arduino IDE. I, tried a bunch of different experiments with it. And,
Well, what you could do is you could go to your ESP32, and
mhm.
this might be an easy way to set it up, and set up another project with the ESP32, and get it running as well as you had it on the Arduino environment. Okay, but
Okay.
in PlatformIO.
Mhm.
Okay, and then
Yep.
you know you got it down, and you could just make the changes you wanted to. Go back to that directory.
Mhm.
Okay. Well,
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's just one of those rabbit holes, I guess I stepped into. It's kind of like, oh my God, it's blown up. What happened?
yeah. Well, when I was showing you guys how to do it that Saturday, I thought, oh, it'd be easy to have everybody use it as an external editor because it'd be close to what they were normally doing. But what
Yep.
it really did is I got everybody funked up. I probably should have gone just straight to PlatformIO and forget about the Arduino environment. But
Yep.
that's the way it is.
Actually, I'm happy you did the Arduino environment because I'm not real pleased with PlatformIO.
Okay, well, I think some of it, yeah, it
Too
all
much of a
takes some
change
getting
for me.
interesting. Yeah.
Maybe after I get more used to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of update activity. Every time it opens up, it gives you the opportunity to, do updates for boards and for libraries. There was just a slew of libraries that, I took like almost an hour and a half to go through them all and pick the ones that I was using and updated it. So I don't know if it's like Microsoft, every Tuesday, there's a big dump of all this work that's been done or something. But
Yeah. Well, that's if the library is in their library manager and it gets updated, that's the advantage. You don't have to do diddly; it just automatically is updated. Because what they do is when you ask to build, that's when the library is essentially downloaded.
yeah, but there's a slew of version numbers. I mean, and even like I said, just a couple of weeks ago, there were several updates, and I did all those, and then today, same thing. Went through another list of them. So
And Visual Studio Code is getting updated on a fairly
I
regular
think
basis too.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think Chris is right.
I mean, that's
Is that-
separate, right? I mean, that has nothing to do with PlatformIO. I'm just saying, because it does get annoying sometimes. It's kind of annoying me sometimes because what happens when you use Visual Studio Code and you use that remote feature that's really great where all your files are on the Raspberry Pi and some other Linux machine. And if it's a small Linux machine, what happens is every time you get a new Visual Studio Code pushed by Microsoft, it then installs a new corresponding version of the Visual Studio Code server on your other device, like your Pi, or in my case, I use it at work and we have embedded devices running Linux. And it suddenly all kinds of stuff accumulates on your, Pi or whatnot, right? It's like a whole version of not Visual Studio Code, but the server backend. It just creates a whole folder, hundreds of megabytes. A new version gets pushed, now another one, and it doesn't clean that out on its own Before you know it, you run out of disk space on your thing that you're sort of connected to, and unless you sort of clean out these old versions once in a while. Anyway, you won't have that problem. I mean, with something like an Arduino type device. This is only a problem if you connect to a Linux-based device and all the files sit there, and you just you run it in that fashion.
In the remote mode.
Yeah, the remote mode, which is quite convenient, but
It's really awesome.
somewhat resource hungry. Like I said, if you don't pay attention, you're gonna, before you know it, you have 10 old folders of Visual Studio Code Server floating around somewhere, filling up your micro SD card or whatnot.
And there was one back on Doug. So the way, one thing I'm not sure that we spent much time in when you did the training a couple Saturdays ago was not using VS Code with PlatformIO, but rather using VS Code as an external editor and flipping the switch in the Arduino environment so that it understands you're using VS Code as the external editor.
Yeah.
That's the way I've been running it, and I found that it's really helpful in the way that I still have the visibility and control that I would through the Arduino IDE, but I have all of the huge benefits of using a proper editor like VS Code.
Yeah.
And without the extra overhead and complexity and learning curve of PlatformIO. So
that's why I initially started off that way.
Yeah.
And you remember we didn't use PlatformIO until about halfway through it.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was just what you said, Carl, was people that are used to Arduino IDE, they can essentially use it. I mean, the same program is just, it's just in Visual Studio Code as the editor. Now there is a if you go to preferences in the Arduino environment, there is a checkbox which is called External Editor, which you can click. Now, I'm not sure it absolutely has to be clicked, but I mean that's what that's there for, is to let the environment know that you're using an external editor.
I use that switch that way, and then I just never go. I mean, I flip that switch so that the Arduino IDE knows I will not use it as the editor. I will only use the VS Code.
Yeah.
And I found that makes the system behave much better than before I had that switch flipped.
Yeah.
And then there's another switch too in the Arduino, and I don't even know if this might work even without the VS Code, but I found, like, especially for these library problems and the compile problems, there's a verbose switch so that when the Arduino is compiling, it gives you tons more information about what it's going through. And that's come in really invaluable, really handy when I've had these cases where the compiler is just hanging on something, and it's, the dumbed down version is so dumbed down, all you know is that, broken. But you go to the detailed version, and then at least you have something to go put into Stack Overflow and find and fix.
Yeah.
And that switch works with VS Code in the Arduino IDE.
Yeah, I think all it's really doing there, Carl, is it doesn't know that it's code changing it. It flips on a bit. So I think what it does file washing. So
I think you're right.
Arduino thing, it just says, okay, I know where these files are. I know what they are. I know how they currently are. I know their file size and timestamps and all those various things you care about files. When that changes, I'm going to reload it for you. So I can when you hit the compile button and go.
I think that was the issue, because it literally, that switch disables the Arduino IDE editing.
Yes.
And then whenever you hit compile in VS Code, you can be confident that the Arduino environment will pick up the latest versions of the files to compile, as opposed to some cached versions that it had. So I think that switch is actually important to hit, and I don't know if that's needed for PlatformIO or not, but I bet with the way that we talked about using it a couple Saturdays ago. Just get out of the Arduino IDE for an editor and flip that switch and don't go back. The world must be better.
Yeah, I think everybody's well aware of my thoughts and opinions upon the Arduino IDE. So I'll just leave it there.
So, Carl, have you debugged in VS Code the Arduino code, or do you just type and compile?
Do you mean like with the line wise debugger,
Right?
breakpoint debugger,
Breakpoints and all that. Yeah.
That's the piece I can't get to work. I'm gonna have to Google it.
Well,
Okay.
you can do that only on hardware that supports it, right? I mean, this is
Yeah.
gonna work on every piece of hardware.
You can't do that on a generic Arduino board anywhere.
Yeah,
Well,
well, actually you can.
you can if you
Yeah,
have
there is a
JTAG or-
workaround that's out on the web that you can do, but it's complicated enough that
Yeah, I'm on my Microsoft Surface, so maybe that's the problem.
I would rather do something else. Use another board that has a proper debugger.
I think the limiting factor is the interface, right? I don't think that's going to work so well over the USB serial.
No, I think you're going to need like a JTAG or something like that to
Yeah,
Right.
happen.
You can do that. You can do it with a JTAG for sure.
yeah. And that's where in VS Code with Arduino, if you see in the bottom menu, it talks about which programmer do you want to use. So I'm quite confident that you can do it, but it's a lot more configurating that. So Doug D, to answer your question, no, my style of debugging is a good code inspection and then a few console logs and writing values out to a scope.
Okay, it's just so convenient in the Visual Studio stuff to do line by line and inspect as you go. Makes the whole work experience go faster. But I haven't got it working with the Arduino code yet.
See, these Arduino things, you're used to some .NET something or another, and you got to go back way back to like 1978 on your debugging principles with these Arduinos for the most part.
Yeah.
You know,
Give me a break. This is taking me back to the 80s and 90s.
okay, I'll give you 84, 86. I'll give you that.
Well, but I'm telling you, so my mindset comes from debugging FPGAs, right?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
There's no concept of a stepwise debugger because it's all parallel coding of flip-flops and registers. So it's just really, to my way of thinking, it's another mindset of how you think about the design process and workflow. And it's very hard in my world. It's very hardware centric because I hadn't spent that time as a professional .NET guy.
Yeah, I know a lot of the programmers that I hang out with. They'll get up and they'll change, I don't know, a few hundred lines of code before they hit the compile button again. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm like changing one line of code running. Did that do what I expected to do? No. Okay, we go no further. Stop. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. You know, I know a lot of the folks I work with, because they trust their tool and they have these very Cadillac features, I'm going to call them at the moment. They'll go change, I don't know, half a dozen files and hundreds of lines and hit the go button and just work it out after that. And I'm like, they wonder, why are you compiling and doing that? Well, because I want to know that the thing I did actually did what I expected it to do.
I don't know.
Better editor.
For me, the big kick is to change a few hundred lines of code and then read through it by the inspection and think through it and check it out. And then when you program it, it just works. That's the best.
Yeah.
As long as you don't make bad assumptions reading through it.
I got my squirrel going on there.
I'm
So I
not
get
sure about
lots of
that.
code, then squirrel happens, and I come back and I'm like, what was that value there, and what was it supposed to be? You know, my brain just doesn't work that way.
I got to tell you guys, I found that if you go, well, I think this will work, let's try it and find out. You get very different. You get what you pay for, right? Whereas if you say, okay,
I agree.
this is just simple logic. I can make this work. Okay, this, then this, then. So you wind up stepping through line by line in your brain, and then 9 times out of 10, it mostly works. Or maybe you forget some initialization thing somewhere, but
reminds me of a guy I used to work with at Siemens PLM. He was really, it was difficult to work with him because his mode of debugging was try something and see what happens. Whereas most of the other people in the office were like, let's look at the symptoms. Let's figure out where the symptoms might be coming. Want to go A, B, C, and so on. And so when he needed help, it was impossible to help him because you simply could not operate in his world. The weird thing was he was really good at finding and fixing bugs by this technique because he'd done it for so long, because he sort of had an intuitive feel of how the code worked. So it actually worked for him, but nobody could work with him.
No one else, right? See, this whole conversation, that and it takes me back to Paul's comment earlier about just getting lucky, because in my experience, it just doesn't happen. I don't get lucky enough, so it doesn't just happen that way.
I bought a lottery ticket today.
Did you?
Me
Maybe I'll
too.
get lucky.
It's 800 and some odd million.
See,
Doug and I could be winners, but
That's
not
right.
too likely since the odds are like, I don't know how many million to one.
Especially since that I forget which restaurant it was, but somebody just bought like $100,000 worth of tickets, and he's going to share with his employees if he wins on any of them.
Well,
Oh, wow.
that's all well and good, but you know, the chances aren't zero for a single ticket to win, and a single ticket is going to win. And that $100,000, I think you could do better investing that in some place. But the $3 ticket, you go for fun, so you can have dreams and talk with your significant other there and figure out who you're not going to give your winnings to, or who you are going to give your winnings to. I think it's worth the $3, and in a couple of days of having that good fun. I think it's well worth that.
So
But
there's if I can take the conversation just and springboard off of what Harold said, I'm reading a very interesting book at the moment called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, who's a psychologist that came up with a lot of early theories of the mind in the 70s. Anyway, he discovered a lot of ways in which the mind malfunctions, and one of them is in its estimation of probabilities. And the mind is subject to two mistakes that are relevant to this conversation. One is overestimating the probability of something that's possible but unlikely, and the other is overestimating the likelihood of something that is unlikely, could happen, but is unlikely. So in the lottery context, the mind places a higher probability or importance on the possibility. If it knows there's a possibility that you could win, then it assigns that a higher level of probability than it should. And conversely, when you're avoiding something bad, for example, a bad outcome of an operation, medical operation, you know that there's a 99% success rate on the operation, but the mind focuses on the 1% failure rate and overemphasizes that. And so he shows that if you graph the mind's perception of probability against actual probability, it greatly overestimates low probability, is sort of like has an S-shaped curve, and then underestimates the high probability events. Anyway, it's a trick of the mind that lottery running institutions take advantage of.
Yeah, I got it.
And that's why I like the old adage that when you get into games like the ones we're talking about, how many people playing and such, I mean, the odds of winning are the same whether you put your money down or not. I mean, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Close enough.
It is very close, but because I'm dividing by
It's,
as
right, it's not the same, and so the mind's heuristics cause you to make a mistake.
You don't play, you don't win. You do play, you might win, but it's not very likely.
You take the expected value of whatever money you put down, and the return is not very good.
No, Paul's exactly right. I make those things all the time, but I temper that with the fact is I'm not spending my last $3.
Well, there
And
you go.
and
Yeah.
me and the wife, we sit around and talk about what we would do with the money. And I will tell you, the very first thing that I've always come up with, if I win the lotto, the very first thing I'm doing is not telling anybody. The second thing I'm doing is I'm going to hire a person and pay them. I don't know how much money, but we'll come up with a number, hire the person, and direct all forms of communication that I have to that person. And they're going to have one job. They pick up the phone, no, click. That's all they need to do.
You can hire me here. I'll do that for you.
Okay, Carl, I'm with you on that one. I don't care where you do the job at. You want to do it on the beach? You want to do it on, it doesn't matter. You're just going to handle all of my communication. And then at some point, I will tell you of a couple of people that can actually call me, and then we'll go on with that. You know,
Reasonable fee. Make it happen. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I think all of that was reflected in the movie Dumb and Dumber, where, you know, he basically this woman says to one of the actors, you know, there's just like a snowball's chance in hell that I'm going to go out with you. And he's saying, so I have a chance, huh?
so I have a chance.
So probabilities. Okay. So what's the probability that we've stalled long enough that Doug D has something to show us now?
Okay, I can talk.
Woohoo!
No gold star. I was too chicken to try to plug wires in. All of a sudden, the last time I did that, I blew a fuse and a step down transformer.
Discretion and valor.
But,
There you go.
I have made progress on my robot. That power board I now have installed inside the body, and under here is where I was going to put this board, which is my Arduino, and on this side I'm going to have the Raspberry Pi. But you see the Arduino got nothing plugged into it because while I was pushing it in that hole, I pulled all of those wires off the motor driver, and there's 6 of them. I got to figure out which pin they all go into, and I'm going to do that when it's nice and quiet and I'm not in a hurry. But bottom line, I'm gonna exceed Donna's call from SRS, and I'm going to present on my robot. I'm going to give a little screen here right now. And hopefully I'm sharing. I've been working on this document. I'm calling it a functional prototype because it's not done. You can see a list of things here that I'm still working on. But it actually will do a telepresence robot. You can drive it over VNC. You can fire the phone up and use that as the thing. What I wanted to point out here is that I've mentioned some names here. And if you don't want your name mentioned, speak now or forever hold your peace. And Chris N, I don't know what the N means.
Netter.
Netter.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
N is in Nancy, ETTER.
Oh, okay, so there's 2 people talking. I missed it. N E
ETTER.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And I know that there were several people working on the things, and I'm going to quit sharing for right now. But I figure I'll probably do a 15, 20-minute presentation there and give credit to the people that helped me get the thing to this point. And at some point in the future, I'll give a more thorough demonstration of how all the pieces exactly work together, and I'll share the code. Plan on writing an article up to put on the website, and I can put it on the DPRG website as well as mine. And so that's where I was. I was hoping to have the thing running today. It is run in test without being actually put together when I didn't have to stretch the boards into their final location. So it's functional now. I just want to finish it now. Get this Roby working.
Yay! Nice
Looking
work.
good. Yeah.
I'm real happy that the power board's actually working the way I expected. Although still the Raspberry Pi says, we've got a low power warning. So it must need a little bit more than 5 volts. It says 5 volts, and I don't believe that's true. I think it wants 5 point something.
Is that a
'cause I'm getting
3?
lots of amps.
Doug, is that a 3? A Pi 3?
4.
Pi 4?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen people
I've seen them
recommend,
too.
you know, feed it 5.2 volts, 5.25. I've been doing that. Honestly, I've found it difficult to completely get rid of all of these warnings. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you feed it with a little above 5, your chances of not having these are better.
Yeah. I think I'm going to stick with the 5 now because I've been through several of these step down voltage regulators and I'm tired of paying $25 a piece for them. This one works. Hopefully it'll keep working.
You know, one thing that when you get to the point where, you know, to keep your lines from falling out like that,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not saying this is the answer to everything, but sometimes hot glue is your friend.
Yeah, I've been actually making the lines longer. I didn't
Mhm.
make those longer because it reached to where I was going to put the board. I'd been making everything, 10, 12 inches long so that I can pull things apart without stretching the wires. But
Yeah.
I was lazy on those because they were in the right spot and I didn't want to mess with that. But now that they're out, I'm going to use some extenders and make them longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doug, is this part of the SRS Robothon on August 27?
Yes. I have to fill out the papers. I talked to Donna today and she says I'm in.
Okay.
So I'll be just giving an overview. I won't be demonstrating every single bit of it, but I'll be talking about the pieces of it. And at some future date, I'll give a full, this is like hour or two on how the whole thing works. And I'll probably make that speech available to DPRG too if they have a whole 1 month and don't have anybody.
Sounds good. Sounds real
I'm
good.
sure Carl will make a hole. I'm pretty certain about that.
I'm actually pretty excited about this thing because it actually works. and I've looked and there are just not any good examples on the web. So I think our project, and it was not just mine, it's our project, is cutting edge, and it's going to be the best there is on the web when I get it up.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
That's all I had.
Cool.
Wish I could have showed it rolling.
I put some links for that into the chat window there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We don't have anything planned for August.
See, I told you you'd make a hole.
I won't be ready.
Probably.
I want to get all the sensors and everything working, and that's just a case of plugging them back in. I think the code is still there, but sometime after August, maybe September or later.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we just had something. Somebody suggested this for the calendar. This kind of hybrid thing with SRS, where we would do the SRS in late August. And I wonder if that was you, Doug, talking about this Robothon event, because I didn't have any details.
I did bring it up, and have you not gotten Donna's email? I can forward it to you.
It wouldn't hurt. I've been indisposed lately, but if it makes sense, we could block the room in the makerspace for that day and do it in person online. I don't know if any of us. Well, if you would want to present from the makerspace, then I don't know.
Yeah. That actually sounds like a good idea. Because, they have the big monitors in that room now, so that room would be good for a virtual type room.
So I forwarded that email to you.
Okay. All right. Well,
A real in-person meeting? Wow, that'd be awesome.
Oh, what?
I haven't seen you guys in for real in so long.
One of the things I have to actually practice again, and I think Chris practiced with me once, is having somebody outside of my router actually get to the VNC client. I'm pretty sure it's public, but since I'm always on my same router, I'm not sure I'm going through the public section. So going to the makerspace would be good.
Well, if you want to commit to it, either let me know now or let me know later, and we can set something up.
Or
See you, Chris.
Actually, tonight I'm at the makerspace tonight, so yeah. Holler.
Well, I have committed to Donna that I will present. So, Makerspace is good for me there too.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of traveling lately, but I told her I would be at home presenting on that day, not going out of town that day.
All right. Well, if there's no other objections, let's just pencil that
Yeah.
in.
People can actually touch it and talk about it and see it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. So Doug, let's figure Doug P. Let's figure that out, and one of us will block it or something.
Yeah, when we got a date, it takes a couple of days to get the room, Doug, but
Yeah.
and it's nice to do it a couple of weeks in advance if we can, because because the way the makerspace works, usually anything beyond 2 weeks is beyond their time scope. You know what I mean? They don't plan that far in advance. So if you're a couple of weeks early, you can almost have your choice.
Yeah, August 27th is the date that Seattle's doing their thing.
Okay.
Is that noon to 3 Seattle time?
Let me bring that message back up again.
Yeah, I'll give you an hour in front and maybe an hour afterwards.
Yeah, it is.
That
It's
will-
noon
that-
Pacific.
Yeah.
Noon Pacific. So that starts 2:00 here.
2 o'clock. So I'd say start it at 1 o'clock. That way, if you want to set up and do any tests, you can do it. You have some time. So, and when does it end? You said
It says
5
3 to
o'clock.
4 hours, depending on interest.
3 hours. So
Right.
they got it from 2 to 5.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it
Starting
from
noon.
1 to
There's the link.
5:30 maybe.
I
Okay.
posted the link in the chat. Oh, somebody else is here.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be like that last time we combined with them over Zoom. Although,
Yeah.
did they do Zoom last time or some other odd thing?
Teams, I think.
Yeah,
Or
I had to load Teams on my computer, and then I got busy and couldn't show up anyway.
cool. Well, Doug, nice progress. Keeping it
Yes,
going.
I'm
That's good.
happy.
Yeah.
It actually ran. I could push the buttons. It's got a lot of cleaning up to do, but it's functional now.
Yeah. Good deal. Okay. Well, that takes us past our known discussion queue.
Well, I have two things I can show. One that John might actually want to look at. So let me show you that real fast. Type thing %. Here we go.
Does everybody take the email from Magpie Magazine?
Old Steiner.
So, John, there's this Halloween talking skull. So if you want to print one out, it might be up your alley. I don't want to click there. Click there instead. So you can. It's going to take a moment. So
Are you thinking of doing one? Or you just?
no, I'm just saying if you want to print one out for Halloween, I know you're interested in Halloween type stuff. So I saw that. So you might want to look at it. It's pretty simple layout of how they put the jaw. So yeah. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was this rover one. Mainly that, you could use the cheap reels, but it looks like sturdy and well built was the main thing that caught my eye about it. Well, that was the other thing. And if you can read whatever this is, Spanish, it talks about it, but but just the overall structure of it looked pretty good. So
Speaking of things in space, is the James Webb telescope? I understood it was hit by like a meteor shower.
One
It was
micrometeorite.
It was hit by a micrometeor, and they expect it to be hit by micrometeorites, but this one was larger than what they expected. So it did
So
a little bit of damage, but it's designed with enough redundancy that if they lose a small area of a mirror to a micrometeorite, it doesn't typically make a difference.
Yeah, I would suspect that even if it did damage it, those mirrors should be. I'm not saying they're small, but in a replaceable state, as opposed to the Hubble that had that big disc you had to fly up there.
Well, there's no planned maintenance on it. It's too far out. It's a million
Right. It's
miles.
not close like Hubble.
Yeah, they've designed it with enough reliability and redundancy to where they expect, unless there's a catastrophic failure, that if there's a catastrophic failure, they lose the whole thing because they can't go out there to surface it. It's well beyond the low to medium Earth orbit. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that that our luck continues to hold.
the
Considered
last couple of years.
Well, they've actually considered, now that they saw, it's like, oops, that one was a little bigger than we expected. They're thinking they might concentrate in a direction that's not in the same direction as the Earth's orbit around the sun, because you're much less likely to get hit by micrometeorites if you're pointed in that direction. That is, if you're pointed away from the Earth's motion.
And then, Carl, this may actually be up your alley because I saw this where he has a real robot. This one actually is in English. So, and the interesting part is he talks about the mechanics on that of it. So that should look
It's in English, but it has Jackie Chan on the front there.
Hey, what can we say? It has math on that, so. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it looks very much like he's copied from what I did or duplicated what I did. His controls, actually his control mapping in step 2 is it's what I have built.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Although
yeah.
I may have implemented it differently, but yeah. Yeah. So I approve at a glance. Sure.
And there's the circuit board in his case. And then there's the code.
Yeah, because so many of the other ones that I've seen where they map the user controls to the robot movement, they do it in a rather limited way. And one of the things that I thought was unique about the way that I did it, relatively unique, was that I mixed it in the way that he shows. So.
Well, Carl, there's a relevant saying here: imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
I'm all about it. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, Ray, you were talking about some arm, but I don't know. This one actually looks pretty nice. I don't know if you.
I didn't think so.
So there's an arm with middle. Actually, looks like a pretty nice one.
Yeah, I don't think that was me,
You've
John.
two arms. Oh, okay. Well, I thought somebody was mentioning arm. Well, anyway, if not, there's a nice one here. Let's like to build. Yeah, looks like well-built arm.
It's like made out of aluminum tubing, huh?
Right, and that's why I'm thinking. Yeah, that actually looks nice. I like the layout of it.
Spend some time in the machine shop at Makerspace.
Much, not much. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, then it gets into the box.
Or you could do like that little Indian kid and, use all hand tools and old license plates to make it,
What size servo is that?
I imagine the.
Yeah, probably the MG 9096 or 996 there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The SG90s are the little ones.
So it's a mini, not a micro, I guess.
It's full size, standard size.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said it looks nicely laid out and that it looks like, it's well built.
Well, they're Metal Gear servos too. So
Right.
those SG90s, they break easily, I can tell you.
Mm.
I've broken many of them.
Of course, I don't know how this one would do on chess, a certain chess player's fingers, but
I was going to say it probably could pinch.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was going to bring that up and forgot.
More just an ouch than an ow.
I've got a little something when you're finished, John.
Okay, well, go ahead. Those are the only thing I found of interest today.
I've been working on my GPS, and I think I showed you guys my little ground plane with the thing. Well, I've managed to actually get the GPS, not the GPS, I got the antenna out. So, and I got the little
magnet off it there.
All the magnet and all of that came off. It was a little, it's not going back in that case. Let me put it that way. That case no longer exists. But,
destroy it to get it out.
I can now adjust this, 3-meter long cable to the right length and hook this can to the ground plane that I'm going to use. And I'm just trying to work up my courage to go out and crank up the plasma cutter and whack out a circle out of aluminum. So, and I got it working on a Teensy 3.2. So that's probably going to be the processor that's going to handle all of the GPS stuff, and also probably the BNO 55. So that's where I'm going. Slowly making progress.
Are you using RTK GPS, Doug?
No, it is it's an N9, M9, but it isn't the RTK model. It's the one that is just below the RTK. But I looked last time we had some confusion about the different series of modules. So, the ones that you're probably going to run into if you have a U-block, one is a 6, 8, or 9. They do have a 10, but
yeah, if money is no object,
a lot of money. So the big things were, the 6 is essentially only for the United States signals,
Just
And-
GPS. Yeah.
Yeah, just the GPS really. And I want to say, what was this cycle?
Probably the Russians, GNSS, maybe.
No, I want to say it's like, 5 times a second.
Oh, for update, right? Yeah.
Yeah, update rate. I can't find it right now. Oh, wait a minute. Here, it's probably on the back. Yeah, up to 5 hertz. Okay. So it's 50 channels, but it's just GPS. And then when you go to the 8, what you get is now there's 4 different systems, but you can only be on basically 2 of them. Okay, so you kind of select which systems you want to be on. Like you want to be on Galileo and GBS or whatever the other one is, Baidu. Yeah, you can pick. There's certain combinations that you can't do, and it can do two, and if it does 2, it's at 10 hertz. If it just does 1, it can actually do 18 hertz. And then the 9, which is the one that I just bought, it can actually do 4 concurrent ones at 25 hertz. And so
yeah, I thought I read
it's
that the
pretty
basic
significantly-
accuracy of that one was like you could get it like within a foot without RTK.
I've been letting it run on their what is it called? Whatever their software is.
Oh, yeah.
And it
U Center.
yeah,
U-Center, right.
U-Center, yeah.
Yeah.
And it does a pretty good job. If we traditionally say 10 meters, and if you say 10 meters, this thing stays within 5 meters. You know what I'm saying? So it occasionally, you'll still see it occasionally drift a little out of it, but if it does, it's like 6 meters. So it is
Really?
better.
That good?
Pretty good. So I'm hoping, I'm thinking it's an upgrade. But I'm like I say, and because it's I2C, so I'm trying to figure out how I want to configure the messages. So it just sends what I want it to send. And what I'd like to get out of that is a heading and a distance to cone. That's what I'm trying to, that's what I want out of that processor. So it's going to have a BNO in it and a GPS and send out signal over serial probably. That'll tell you, you're 25 feet from the cone and the heading is X or 70 degrees or whatever. That's what I'm hoping to get out of it.
What's the essence of the difference between the M series and the F9P, which is the RTK enabled one?
What is the actual? Well, okay. You have to be careful. They have, and I'm not sure. There's the RTK modules, and why are they different? I don't know. If they are, yeah, they're like $270 opposed to $74. And then there's also one that has a built-in IMU in it, which they call their dead reckoning one.
Right.
And I just didn't see any of those for sale by the local, the normal vendors. And I would assume it would be about $150, but so I don't know.
Okay, it seems
It's
like
already-
they've got like a family of products, and M series family, and then the F9P is sort of like in its own, and it's got some sibling products, like there's an automotive version of the F9P
Yeah.
that's got the IMU in it, like that's calibrated for vehicles and wants to run at 30 miles an hour or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Right. Minimum speed, I think, or minimum velocity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they got, I'm not sure what the difference, I haven't really, because I haven't seen one. I haven't looked at the 10, so I don't know what the 10s can do.
Okay.
But
Because I was trying to get my, so I've got an F9P and I was trying to get it going on RTK right before I went on this travel extravaganza, and I found that I could, if I put the antenna up on top of the guttering on my roof, it would achieve lock real fast. But down on the ground, it did not. And
Well,
the antenna is.
does it have a ground plane, Paul?
Yeah. So I got.
The plate. Yeah.
Do they have a plate underneath it?
Yeah. So it's the Spark Fun ground plane with
Okay.
the.
About 6 inches.
Well, it looks to me like it's only about
4 inches, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't know if that's big enough. And
Yeah,
then,
I want to say I looked somewhere and I don't remember the exact paper, but they kind of said 6
Oh.
inches.
yeah, maybe that's my problem, because then I there's a few trees around the house, so I took it down to the backyard, and you know how where it's real open down the backyard down by the lake, and it's still sitting on the ground there, sitting on that 4-inch disc. It wouldn't lock, and I was like, oh. So maybe you're right. Maybe I need a bigger plane than what Spark Fun ships it
Well,
with.
just go out and get your wife's pot.
There you go. I'm
And,
gonna borrow this for a little while, hon.
yeah. Before you spend any money on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Good idea. I'll do that. Thank you.
But I'm
I
gonna
know.
see.
I know. On the SparkFun website, they did say that have like clear view of the sky, so no trees, no buildings.
Yeah, but it's hard to get a clearer view than out down, by the birdhouse, and
Right.
out on the coreland.
Yep.
Have
you tried setting it up on a tripod instead of just setting it on the ground?
No.
Yeah, that was another thing they said worked
Oh, yeah?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
just like a camera
And,
tripod.
and I should mention that the performance that I was talking about literally was in my room here. So I'm in a house. I'm not even
Right.
trying to do it outside.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and I get 20 something satellites, and it's just like I say, it really, the 9 and really seems to be a step up. Now here's another little tale of caution. Okay, so I have an 8 on my current rover, and I said, it's not as good as the 9, but hey, it's pretty darn good, I think I'll just make sure, see if I can buy a backup. So I went out to Amazon, and sure enough, they had an 8 module for about $20. Well, when I got it here, it was a counterfeit.
Oh.
So I'm just telling you guys, be careful. It's probably want to
Not
stay
work?
with. Huh? Oh, it worked.
Not work?
It worked as a GPS, but it was not a U-Blot module.
Oh.
It had a U-Blot tag on it, and U-Blot has a page that you can go to and look at, how you can. I now know how to tell their official label, but I can't distinguish it without having a magnifying glasses.
And you bought it from where?
The fake, it was from Amazon.
Oh.
Some unknown supplier.
Did you report it to Amazon? Did you report the seller?
Oh, well, yeah, I got a refund, and I told them it was a fake.
Good.
And I submitted a review.
complaint.
But what I think's going on with that company is what they're doing is they're recycling they're recycling GPSs and putting them on their own board. And so, if you look at the reviews, some people are real happy because they got a genuine U-bot GPS that worked great. And some people are saying, nah, it didn't work. And I got one of the ones that didn't work. And as far as I know, maybe they're just recycling. I send it back in, you buy it, you get it next time. Yeah.
That's right.
There's a lot of fake positive reviews on Amazon. Ignore the positive reviews. Always look for the negative reviews.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying is this, if you look, this just might be of interest to you. If you look at the label on a U-bot, Pat, you were holding up one. Who is it? What type of, is it a U-bot?
So no, mine is B10.
Okay. All right.
It's not even listed. They don't market it as a U-block.
Yeah.
But I believe it's based on the M8N technology.
Okay.
And
M10?
M8.
Oh, M8. Okay.
Michael,
right.
Norman.
Well, you should run down U Center and see if that's a software package from U-bot. And you see if it'll
Connect,
see what it'll do.
communicate. Yeah.
Yeah. See if it'll communicate.
So I've had it spitting out data, and I have about three of these GPSs that I bought before last year for the robot.
Yeah.
I can't get them to work. Like Paul was saying, out in the middle of the field, I can, sporadically connect to a couple, 3 satellites, and that's it. The U-blocks or the clones, whatever they were. This guy here, I got a signal in my living room.
Yeah.
So I've got a lock in my living room. Outdoors, it's very quick. Within a few seconds, I'm locked on, and that's without a backplane.
Yeah.
Yeah. The RTK lock, Pat?
What's that?
Are you talking about RTK lock or just a solution?
Just a solution.
Okay.
Not an RTK.
Okay.
So, and they're claiming, when I look it up, they're claiming 0.6 meters, so about 2 feet accuracy.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And I'd be surprised if it's that, but I'd be happy at 10, 15 feet. Hey, I'm in the vicinity of the cone. It's somewhere around here.
Yeah.
And that's like 2 feet.
I think, like I say, if we, the right way to do this is with a Coleman filter, but because that will guide you, get rid of your error, reduce your errors, and but I don't know if I'll get that far yet this year, but that would be the goal. If this goes smoothly like it did and now I've got a powerful. One of the reasons why I went to the Teensy was because I wanted to use the different matrix libraries. Okay, I mean you can get some really nice matrix libraries, which you're going to need if you're going to use Coleman filters. So we'll see how it goes. Really kind of right now I'm real encouraged. But anyway, if you have a U-bot, a real quick way to probably see it is they have a big red, what looks like a big red circle with a white dot and a U that's offset to the side. Okay. And if you look at it under magnifying glass and really kind of like hold your eyes just right, you can realize that there's a slight shaded border that goes around that red circle.
Did you try again?
And that's how that's what they're not, if it's a fake, they won't do that. Because like I say, you can hardly see it yourself. But it's the same thing with the pin one black circle, black dot. If you look at the black dot that's supposed to represent circle pin one, it looks like a black dot when you look at it. In fact, when I photograph it, I can't actually see that border. But when I put a magnifying glass and squint at it, I can see that there's a very slight border around that black ring, black circle.
And what was the first bit? I see the U on the corner of a red circle with a dot above the
Yeah.
And what are you looking for there?
Okay, around that red circle, there is a slightly lighter red border.
Oh,
You really, I mean, Paul, you're not going to be able to see it without a magnifying glass. And you're gonna probably have to hold it to the light and turn it. But it's, once you do it, it's there. And there is a website. Actually, not a website. Ubot has a page, how to identify a fake. Yeah.